Hello, everybody. My name's Spencer.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Liam.
And welcome to
The Bad Batch Podcast.
All right,
so we got the intro down pretty well.
Yeah.
This is our third time doing it now.
Yeah, third time.
So we're new and we're getting started. So it's fun because today we get to do something other than Star Wars, which we love doing Star Wars. But today we're going to do Endgame. So that's fun.
The new Avengers Endgame movie. Released yesterday?
Well, it says the 26th, but it came out on Thursday the 25th.
Yes,
Thursday night. But I had to avoid spoilers for 2 days.
Yes.
Because I had a track meet and I missed something. These guys saw it the first time.
Yes, and then we
This is Saturday night. If this isn't up by Monday night,
it's gonna be up by Monday. But I don't know.
I saw it twice. He saw it twice, and he saw it once.
I just saw it tonight.
I saw
just
it
got back.
3D because
Did you like it in 3D?
Sucker. It was amazing. It was just awesome.
Did you see it in 2D and 3D?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I went Friday in 2D.
Was the 3D just that much better? Was it?
It was significantly better.
Okay. See, for me, I'm not a big 3D guy.
Sometimes it makes me it gives me a headache.
And I sometimes I just sit in the movie, watch the movie normal. But yeah, so let's get into it.
Yeah. So we're gonna go scene by scene and talk about that, and then we're gonna go back and talk about what us feel, some Easter eggs, that kind of stuff, and just give an overall review of the movie. And then at the end we can each give our scores of it.
Yes, I agree. And that's with Easter eggs and stuff. That's why we brought in our expert here, Liam. He's a little bit hyper. He loves these Marvel movies and get very emotional at the end. So
he's YouTube famous from Spencer's channel.
Yes,
we
pointed this out in our
last
one.
Yes.
But are we gonna talk about
this is our Rule 5. Just check out my channel, Spencer Cola.
Second
some good
face
videos,
review.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
English
So
is stupid.
let's jump right into the movie. All right, Liam, do you want to start with the first scene?
What do you want to talk about first?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, just on the Benatar, because that's what the ship is called, the Guardian ship. It's
that's the ship that
the Guardians new ship that they got at the end of Guardians 1 when their ship was destroyed in the attack on Nova Prime by Ronan the Accuser. Gotta make that distinction because now there's 2 Ronins in the MCU. Well, technically there's 2, but I mean technically, if you look through all time, there's 2, but one's dead. After that attack, they got the new ship, and it was called the Benatar. And and then you see Stark playing, just basically recounting what was happening and playing finger football with Nebula,
which would be a terrible existence for anyone.
I hate to
I love
interrupt
that
you,
scene.
but you kind of missed a scene.
What I missed? I feel really dumb.
I'm Hawkeye. Or you're Hawkeye.
Oh, yes, the Hawkeye scene.
So, so in the last Avenger, we leave off on the snap, and everyone turns to dust. This opens up with Hawkeye and his children.
Hawkeye teaching emotional,
it comes right into it before the Marvel logo comes on.
That's why I forgot about it.
Yes, it's like a pre kind of thing, and it's Hawkeye, and he's teaching his daughter to shoot.
He likes mayo on a hot dog.
Yes, he makes a joke, and he turns around to see where his daughter went, and all you see is a cloud of dust.
But he doesn't really
He doesn't know, and then he looks like, "Where's my daughter going?" He looks back, and his family's gone.
Yeah.
And then we go into what Liam was talking about.
Bum.
Yeah, with Iron Man and Nebula.
That theme music, that Avengers theme,
it's more like Captain America's music because they play it whenever Captain America.
That Avengers music is just amazing. That is the best.
Yeah. So then, like we were saying, we see Nebula and not Captain. I almost said Captain Iron Man for some reason. Iron Man on the ship, and they're just kind of going through stranded at sea kind of thing. And I remember you made a comment before the movie came out, and when we first saw the first trailer of the Swallow and this guy.
Yeah, basically swallows. I forget what the culture was, but basically swallows represented either ill fortune or death. So there were a lot of people on the internet speculating that Tony Stark was just gonna die right away at the beginning of the movie, and that there'd have to be some time travel shenanigans to get him back for the final battle.
Okay, because I was gonna say he appears in the trailer
against
and then but that was the first trailer that came out.
That was the original trailer. And actually, speaking of the whole ship thing, I am I was slightly disappointed that, because if you look at the first trailer, I think it might have been the second trailer, but there's callbacks to Iron Man getting out of the cave.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing. He literally built a space age peacekeeper, whatever it is, the arc reactor, with a box of scraps in a cave tens of thousands of miles from his home.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was kind of disappointing that he couldn't Tony Stark him way out of that situation, but at the same time,
league, though.
It makes sense because this is a Tony Stark reeling from really truly losing for the first time, and then emotionally just destroyed after losing Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm. And we see that with all the Avengers too. They talk about failure a lot and how they all failed, and they kind of point that because when Tony's in the ship, we see Captain Marvel make her first appearance in Endgame, and she brings them home, and they're all around, and Tony says, "What's his problem?" He points at Thor, and Rocket says, "Oh, he thinks he's failed." And he did, but there's a lot that going around.
Until just this moment, I thought you were building.
Yes, I really like the humor, and we'll get more into the humor.
The humor is actually really well timed.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where Marvel's had trouble keeping humor well paced. Ragnarok,
I think
it's my personal preference, but I think that Ragnarok had a really bad problem with timing when they made their humor. Like
that was all improv.
I know, but like
that was so good. That's my favorite one.
What I didn't like about Ragnarok.
It's not my favorite one.
I just wish that they would have gone less jokey in the third act of the movie. Like you see, like Banner, he's like, and he tells Valkyrie, "You want to know who I am?" Jumps out and then just face plants.
Yeah,
I
thought that was funny. I laughed. But,
I personally didn't like that scene. I thought he just should have come down, bend the Hulk, and kind of like that scene in the Avengers. Like he jumps down, you see him transform, lands, boom, throws a punch at that dog.
Ragnarok was kind of when I was in my down on Marvel movies. I was kind of like, man, I was like a rut. They're like all the same, and I really thought the humor in it was like, I didn't like it. I liked Ragnarok, but it's not one of my favorite ones. Mm-hmm. It's definitely the best Thor movie. I think.
There's not. I will argue with you for a long time that the Marvel movies are not all the same. I will argue with you.
Okay, well, going back to Infinity War, you were making the comment about the humor.
Mm-hmm.
What humor did you like? Did you say
in Endgame?
In Endgame, like you, which humor do you think that was like off time?
Off time?
Because Liam was like saying you kind of like disagreed with that.
I don't think it was like. What, you mean the humor wasn't off time? I thought the humor was like fine.
I thought the humor was
there was some things that it was like I thought Tony Stark made a joke like right when he got back that I mean that's how he is, but it's just like he like made a joke, but then he's also I forget how it worked.
When he was getting off the ship, he was
getting off the ship, but he wasn't really making a joke. He was just
he says I lost the kid.
Depressed. Yeah. He was completely and utterly broken.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, mentally, emotionally.
He looked so ill in that.
Yes, he did, and that's really cool how
like
he did that.
Like
the body designs in this movie
because he'd
really
been
good.
malnourished for almost a month.
I was like,
and also on high stress, which stress isn't good for the body.
Yes, and so
any sense of the word.
Yeah, so then we see all the Avengers together. We see Captain Marvel, and we see them all get together, and they were like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And Nebula is like, "Oh, he always said he wanted to go to the garden afterwards." And so then they see that he used the stones on Earth, and they saw the energy release, and then they see where he used the stones again, and we see Captain America cuss, and we rarely see that.
Is this podcast PG?
I would avoid.
I mean,
if you're quoting,
if I'm directly quoting,
you were quoting. Yeah.
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
Okay.
And then it.
Yes, I mean Captain didn't.
It did work.
Cuss that much, but he cussed more in this movie.
That was
that
honestly that was a shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a shock to the Thanos. I'm kind of skipping ahead now.
Oh, well, we gotta go in order. Let's go in order.
Well, it's the very next scene.
So we all see there's a little bit in the middle. So we see the Avengers get on the ship. We see Banner. We see Captain Marvel. We see War Machine. We see Captain America. We see all of them get on the ship, and they go, and they're gonna get them. I missed a few minutes. And so they get onto the planet. Captain Marvel just straight up put him in a lockhold. And they start asking him, "What'd you do with the stones? Where are they?" And he goes,
"Oh,
I
this
shrink
is
them
jumping
down."
when they're at the thing.
Yeah.
We're going to.
Yeah, Liam jumped straight to into that scene.
We
But,
didn't. Do we need the planning? Like, come on. All right, let's go.
And so, they kind of have some dialogue back and forth with Thanos, and it gets a little eerie. And for me, it felt like the movie was moving really fast, and I didn't know where they were going to go with it.
It was like they're 20 minutes into the show, and they already have found Thanos. He's already used the stones again, and they're at the place where he's living.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all got him in a headlock.
Yes.
And then the glove falls.
Yeah,
and
that
they
took
take the
me.
glove off.
That took me aback a lot.
And then there's no stones in the thing.
Yes, and I really liked how they did it, where they showed Thanos limping through the field and picking up the fruit with a welded thing on his hand.
using it a second time, using it the first time almost killed him. Mm-hmm. Using it the second time put him inches
like almost
from
crippled.
death.
Yeah.
How did he survive the Stormbreaker to the chest and like?
He was able to use the reality stone.
Oh, it's reality? I thought he used the time one on that.
It's probably up for grabs. It never actually.
He
says
used
it.
the gauntlet for it.
He used one of the stones to repair the probably 2 foot.
And we saw Tony get stabbed and him repair that.
Yeah, and Tony was able to repair that too.
Well, yeah, but Tony has like stuff.
That's Wampa. Don't worry about it. Our mascot is under the table.
Hello,
Here.
Wampa.
Come here.
You gonna pick her up?
I'm trying to. She doesn't want me to pick her up. Okay.
Hi.
Wampa's a he, so everyone
He.
knows.
Okay.
He has a pink eye.
He does.
No one for it. Come here, Wampa.
He's got one. It's like he's all white, but then he's got.
Wampa
black fur
is
around the one
off
eye.
Star Wars, the monster that killed Luke. If you didn't watch our last
Yes.
episode.
Except Wampa hasn't
Killed
lost
Luke?
his arm.
This is Wampa, and we showed him last
Almost
episode.
killed Luke.
Say hi, Wampa. All right, Wampa. Go back to looking at us.
Go back
weird.
to the floor.
Okay.
Bye,
Yes. Okay, so Thanos uses the glove. It's basically welded on his hand. He's so weak that the Avengers are able to capture him, question him, and realize the stones are gone. Yeah. And when they said reduced to atoms, I immediately thought of Ant-Man. Like, oh, well, they're going to go into the quantum realm. That was the first thing that came to my head. I was like, wow, they're going to go that track. But then we kind of see him.
I kind of thought about that, but at the same time, it was like.
When he says
knew
atoms, and we know Ant-Man's going to play a big role, that's what I kind of two and two together.
What I thought was weird was then later on. I'm jumping ahead, but when Bruce Banner was talking to the previous Doctor Strange person who was the head, she's
the
like
the former
Sorcerer
master of the
Supreme.
Former master, yeah,
Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme. She's talking about how those stones are what allow reality to be what they are, but yet then Thanos destroyed them, and reality was still reality.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, she said.
Well, he said reduced atoms, so maybe.
She said that
okay.
by removing them, they would
from
lose
that
their. She said that by removing that stone
from that specific timeline.
From reality,
right?
It not that it destroys the timeline, but that it opens it up to the forces of darkness that would seek to destroy it. They lose their number one weapon, which for the sorcerers is the time stone against the people like Dormammu, against the masters of the dark arts.
Mm-hmm.
The time stone is their greatest weapon. It is their weapon of last resort, and without that, they could be overrun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she meant by it could be the end of our universe.
Mm-hmm. So specifically just the Sorcerer's universe.
Well, the Sorcerer's universe is their universe, and the sorcerers sorcerers are basically the first line of defense for any
dark
for anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you have the Avengers.
Yes.
And then after that,
and then
the Avengers are, and then if the Avengers get overrun like we saw in Infinity War, there's no other safeguard.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so going back a little bit to them having Thanos in a chokehold. Thor comes up and we see the swing of an axe go right across Thanos' head, and they say, "What have you done?" And he goes, "I went for the head." And I was like,
I thought that was a great.
I heard people laughing in the second time I went to it. I heard people laughing. I'm like, that isn't meant to be funny.
I kind of thought it was funny.
I thought it was supposed to kind of be a
this
joke.
This is Thanos.
But I just thought
this is like Thor, like completely depressed.
Yeah, this is in a rock bottom.
It was really dark.
He hit.
It was really dark. Yes.
Complete rock.
But
bottom.
they avenged the world technically. And they could have
If
stopped
we
right there.
if we can't protect the world,
Damn sure
damn,
we'll finish.
you can be damn well sure we'll.
So yeah, that ends, and now we make the jump to
And
5
then we're
years.
all like, oh damn.
What
so
now?
What happens?
Well,
What
5
happens
years.
from now?
When I saw the 5-year jump, that was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Captain Marvel goes out, and she's gonna go protect more worlds. And
that was lame.
yeah.
Yeah, Captain Marvel is lame. Like, I thought when I first saw the Captain Marvel movie, I'm like, okay, I don't dislike the character. I'm not the biggest fan. The actress is really attractive, so that was a plus. But you watch Endgame, and she's just like,
It makes sense.
Later
doing.
on,
she's just so overpowered that
later on she will play a bigger role. She
Yes,
obviously plays
yes.
a much bigger role. And yeah, no, but that's the thing. She is far and away the most powerful, like, good guy person that they've ever added.
Mm-hmm.
She's in that upper echelon with like Thor at his strongest, with like Odin, with Thanos maybe without the Infinity Gauntlet.
Without that.
Thanos is probably a little bit lower.
I bet he's higher with the Infinity.
Higher
way
with
higher.
it, without
Lower,
it.
lower.
He's below her, but
Yes.
she is just so ridiculously powerful that they couldn't just let her just hang around.
But we see him back.
You saw her
I'm
by
jumping.
herself. She was fighting off 2 entire empires,
Yeah.
bringing their conflict to an end by herself. So it's kind of hard to fit that person into a movie like the Avengers. But you have to use a character like that sparingly, and the Russos knew how to use her in the right times.
Yes.
It's just like she's like, I need to protect other planets that aren't Earth. Like, other planets have these problems too, which I understood that at the beginning of the movie.
Every planet is dealing with the same problems
that Earth would be.
Earth is
and I understand that, but like at the end, when everybody's fighting, like,
Whoa, was there?
like,
You
well,
know, yeah, go ahead.
the people are gonna be listening to this.
Yeah.
Have seen it.
Okay.
But like, why would she show up then?
Well, she
Like,
probably
why-
didn't know
like,
about it,
later?
and then showed up as fast as she could.
She probably found out. Wait a minute, Thanos is here.
Let's go.
Thanos.
Yeah.
The cavalry's arrived.
Yeah.
And that God. Okay, we need to stop. We need to go. We need to backtrack. We'll talk.
Chronological.
I'll freak out about that scene.
I guess that Captain Marvel wouldn't have known at that point
What are you
about
talking
everything
about?
that happened later because they were fighting they were fighting in the present. Never mind.
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Too far.
I'm
okay.
confused.
Captain Marvel
So,
didn't.
whoa.
Captain Marvel didn't know about the plan
Yeah, we can go back.
to collect
do
the
all
Infinity
that.
All right,
Stones.
well,
Yes.
before they start that plan, we see a rat in a van, and that rat opens up to
Is that
quantum
the
realm.
very
Yes.
next scene?
Yes,
Did
it
you,
is.
did you remember this entire movie chronologically?
I watched it twice.
That was not the first. That was not the
After
first thing.
5 years. Yes.
No, 5 years later, it showed New York.
With all the boats.
Really?
No.
Really,
Oh.
and then it showed
Captain-
Captain America in the circle in the support
Like,
group.
No, but then he
and
goes.
then it shows
Anonymous. Yeah.
and then
yeah.
it shows
Natalie.
Yeah, you might be no, because Lang's already at their door when
and
they
then
get
it
to
shows
the
no,
compound.
then it shows
No,
Ant-Man.
but
Then it shows Ant-Man, and then it
Oh,
cuts
yeah.
back, and then after
then it cuts back to Natasha.
Okay, so
talking
yeah.
about people.
So they're in the group circle, and Captain America, like he does in Winter Soldier, I do believe. Am I right? That he is in the support. Yeah, it is
Yes,
Winter Soldier.
it is
'cause
Winter Soldier.
Sam gets him involved with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in the
but
circle.
this is a much different.
Yeah,
version
this
of
is a definite. So yeah, he's in there. He's talking. People are like, "Yeah, it's been 5 years, and I cried on my first day back. I went on a date, and I cried." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, but I'm going out again." And he goes, "Yeah, we all need to do steps to go back in and get over it, pretty much." And then we go to Ant-Man.
And then we see a rat, which
Yes.
basically I did see this. I think it was Reddit. Someone kind of put it together that a rat accidentally stepping on the right keys saved the universe.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the possibilities. One of the
Because it
possibilities that Strange saw that.
it was Ant-Man that like
Yeah,
came
where
up
the
with
rat just missed
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that kind of like parallels with the real world where there were
I mean that's why there was a
one
5-year
guy
gap.
one guy not being on a submarine in 1963 during the Cuban Missile Crisis would have meant the end of the world. Because there was one senior officer on that submarine. There was a nuclear submarine with a nuke in it. There was one senior officer there that wasn't supposed to be there. That they needed his approval to launch the nuke. Everyone else on the submarine
Wait, I'm sorry, I just got way off.
during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
What? How did we get here?
I don't know. I was drawing a parallel. We can
He's talking
erase
about
this.
I want to hear this. It's a good parallel.
So
Between
during
the rat that stepped on the thing and
because
the
it was
officer.
it was
Go
like
on.
basically some crazy circumstance that led to the saving of the universe.
Okay.
The world was basically saved by a guy being on a submarine where he wasn't normally supposed to be.
Okay.
Because during the Cuban Missile Crisis and how the U.S. had the quarantine, it was basically a blockade, but we couldn't call it that, or else that would be war.
Mm-hmm.
So the Soviets had like a submarine around the quarantine line, and they so this submarine eventually starts having like these like grenades getting just dropped down into the water and blown up like above it, just so that it could just so they could try to get this submarine to come up. And then they start dropping like depth charges, like practice depth charges, to just scare it up out of the water. Well, they think this battleship above them is like straight up attacking them, and is trying to, and the war has started, and that they need to fight in protection of the Soviet Union. So they were like, there were 3 senior officers.
This is a really long story.
They're only normally
needed.
History is a long story.
Okay, finish it.
Right.
Now you have
And
to
then there were
finish
3
it.
senior officers. Two of them you only needed the 2 on the submarine to launch a nuke, because they were going to nuke the fleet above them. This 3rd senior officer, who wasn't normally supposed to be there, just happened to randomly be on the sub.
Yeah.
There were like 100 other submarines he could have been on. He was just happened to be on this one submarine.
Okay.
And said no to launching this nuke, and that nuke would have ended.
Okay. Well.
That's one random
okay, but you can say that about
there.
any event. Like, if
Honestly,
this person wasn't born, it's butterfly effect.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but, like,
It's
It just feels like crazy.
If R2 wouldn't have been on Padme's ship in episode 1, then the ship wouldn't have gotten fixed and they would have died.
Yeah. So, and then we would
yes.
never had Star Wars.
But it was a good history.
Yes, good history.
Yes.
All right, history pod dog. But okay, so we see the rat bring Ant-Man back, and he's completely. But we also see a cameo by Ken Jeong, and he's in The Hangover. If you guys remember that, he's really funny. He's a comedian.
That was immediately where I recognized him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's really funny, and I just like it. He doesn't have any dialogue. I think that's a perfect thing. If you're gonna make a cameo, you really shouldn't be like a big part of the movie. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was funny. But yeah, so Scott gets out and he goes down the street, sees all these missing signs, sees all these, and then he like kind of wanders upon a memorial of like all the fallen.
The vanished.
Oh yes, and he
is
sees
what they
that.
actually call
Yeah,
The
and he
vanished.
sees his own
You
name.
can see that on the brick. Or on the stones.
And then he ran to his
It's
house.
almost like a
to find his daughter.
Yes.
Vietnam.
Like
It was a lot like
Wall.
the Vietnam War.
It was really cool, and it's like kind of cool to see what the world would do if half of it died, and like we got to see like everyone's like grieving, and like we see like the pillars for the memorial and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I thought it was really cool.
I just want to say, society would not be that well put together.
5 years though.
I'd be shocked if we weren't in total anarchy for like 25 years.
No
like,
way.
If we just had,
they acted as if they went into anarchy. I mean, look at everyone's depressed. You see a kid on the road. He's like, "What happened?"
Half.
I mean,
half
I
the
guess, like-
government's still there.
I guess
Half
you have the
bad people
Avengers. I guess you have the Avengers, but like,
Yes.
if this happened in real life and there weren't the Avengers, like, and we didn't know about Thanos, if this just happened,
Okay, but it's still
basically
there's still
be the
half
to-
a
the-
police force, and
Liam
still
just
half the
disappears, and Josh and I are like, "What the
Yeah.
heck?"
no, but like,
What's
it would
happened?
be a complete breakdown of society in real life.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
What would we do without the president?
Okay,
Yeah.
but anyways, so we see Scott Lang, and he comes back. He finds his daughter, and after he meets his daughter and gives her a hug, he goes straight to the Avengers. And but before that, we see Natasha with kind of leading head on with all the people and what their jobs are throughout the world and kind of keeping the peace. We see War Machine in was he in Mexico?
He's in Mexico.
Yes.
Investigating an attack by, at least this point, a mysterious person.
Mm-hmm. But they knew.
But they said a name.
No,
They
they said
eventually
Burton.
they eventually say it's Bartman, but
Bartman,
like
yeah. Burton.
there's probably even some Marvel fans that wouldn't know, that wouldn't immediately think.
Well,
of
I
the
knew
guy
because like I saw
after Bartman.
Yeah, but
I
Natasha
know,
was
but
so
there's people
sad
that might
about
not
it,
know
and
that.
she goes, "Please find him."
Yeah,
And she's eating a peanut butter sandwich.
Yes, and so Cap comes in.
I saw a pod of whales in the Hudson today.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that's what Cap's trying to do. He's trying to look on the bright side, and Natasha's
If
like,
you tell
"Don't."
me to look on the bright side,
Yeah.
I'm about to hit you in the face with a peanut butter sandwich.
Mhm. And so they're kind of getting a conversation about what to do and stuff, and then they
Some
see
people move on.
yeah, and then we see Scott Lang's like, "Hey, is anybody home?" And
That was cool.
it was really funny. He was like, "Is this a recording?"
Yeah.
And no, it's not. And so we see Scott come in, and he's kind of freaked out, but he has this idea in his head,
Yes.
and he's trying to get across to like Captain America.
Yeah, but obviously, I kind
But
of like
Scott
how
can't really
I kind of
talk.
like how Black Widow says like, it's like, have any of you ever studied quantum physics? Only to make conversation.
Yeah.
Just-
yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I
yeah,
mean, she probably didn't study it that much. She probably just knows what quarks are.
She
and
doesn't know.
just knows-
It was. I think it's meant to be a joke that she knows
Oh.
nothing.
Okay, I thought it was just taken as if. Okay, wow.
Mhm.
I think it's meant to be a joke that
I'll
she
go-
knows absolutely nothing, but they're just humoring him.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so he tells them there was like it must have been a long 5 years for you in the quantum realm.
That's the thing.
But
It wasn't.
it was 5
It
hours.
was only 5 hours.
And he explains to
Wow.
him that time works a lot different in the quantum realm. It's chaos. And if we can organize it, we can use it. And they say, who should we go for this? And then they know.
And then
that-
they
Wait a
cut.
minute.
And then they cut to a house. By a
If it was
lake.
only 5 hours in the quantum realm for him, and then why is Scott Lang's wife so old? If she was in the quantum realm for so long in Ant-Man
maybe
and the
she was in a
Wasp.
smaller particle. Maybe she was somewhere else.
Why did she age?
There's
I know what
time
you're saying,
vortexes and stuff. It's like different rules in each quantum realm. It's
The quantum realm is, like Josh said, it's complete chaos.
Mhm.
It's not uniform.
and even Tony said that. It was
So
like
maybe he
you were
was in the
lucky.
park.
It's
Remember
not
when Tony
uniform
says
throughout.
you're
Yeah.
lucky you came back?
It's a 1 billion. It's a 1 in a billion shot.
and
Tony literally.
and
yeah.
she was in there for what 30 years.
She was in there for 30 years.
Ant-Man,
His
Ant-Man was in there
original
for.
Wasp.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ant-Man
Yeah.
was in there for 5.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we were in like Liam was saying at the cabin.
So yeah, you go out to the cabin and then you see Tony Stark, and you can tell he's noticeably grayer,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Like a little older.
he sits on a little chair,
Tiny chair. I thought
tiny,
that was funny.
very tiny chair, which was I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't notice
it
it the
looks
first
so
time.
uncomfortable. I was like,
Yeah, but you do things for your children. Speaking
Yeah.
of children, we
Yes.
see Tony's daughter wearing the helmet
Was
of
it the rescue?
the rescue armor,
Yeah,
Tony
rescue
has-
armor.
whoa.
because that was the rescue armor. I got really excited when I
saw
when
that?
I saw the
I was like,
when I saw
I knew
Gwyneth,
it's coming.
when I saw Gwyneth Paltrow post a picture on her Instagram story.
That's Pepper Potts, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's Pepper
Okay.
Potts. She posted an Instagram story basically showing her in like sort of the rescue
I
armor.
didn't like Iron Man 3, and that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth when she was like that. This like the hero of that.
I didn't mind because Pepper Potts is amazing. But
Really?
anyway,
I'm kidding.
so you get to see her wearing the rescue armor head,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's bringing her inside right as Captain America drives up,
Yes.
and then it
Cool
basically
futuristic car, by the way. E-tron Audi. It looks like it's in the future. It's cool. I like
It's a cool looking Audi.
it is
yeah.
a cool looking car,
But I
um,
don't really like the front of it. I'm
You
a
don't
car
like it?
guy,
It just
yeah.
made it look more
I mean,
futuristic.
yeah, but
But
It's
then,
alright.
so yeah,
I
then
like-
event-
I like
and then
the
it
car
cuts to them
Tony
talking, and then basically Tony's just telling them,
Yeah, it's like.
yes, you are
Did
insanely
you base
lucky.
this off Back to the Future?
Please tell me you're not. Please tell me you're not. Your plan to save the universe isn't based off Back to the Future.
so that's
No.
not how time works.
It's like
Yeah,
good.
It's
That's
like-
not how the Force works.
Yeah.
Good. He's like good because for a sec you had me worried there for a
He
second.
goes like, oh, why didn't we think of this before? Oh, because it's laughable. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
He probably thought of this.
He did definitely think of this. He just
but
didn't
not
run
in the like capacity as like
he
Scott
didn't
has
run the
practiced
he
it.
didn't run the simulation because he knew because everything that he'd ever known about physics told him this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a low likelihood that this works.
This will work.
Yeah, but Hank Pym and his wife really kind of broke that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't know them.
Yeah, he did. His father knew them, but yeah,
No one knew. He didn't know about
Yeah,
Mrs.
Pym.
Pym, I think.
Pym.
Or Van Dyne. Van Dyne, actually.
Yeah,
But so what was I saying? Where were we? So yeah,
Janet,
then basically
Janet was stuck in there.
something I really like about that scene though is how Tony is like, you can tell that he's like broken. You can tell he's still emotionally reeling
Mm-hmm.
from the snap, because you see him like, because
Yeah.
he's talking about like he was not going to. He's not even going to risk it.
Mm-hmm.
He has
he
his
has
he
second
had
chance.
a second.
He has his
He
life.
had his second chance as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't going to risk it.
So so they
For
know
anything.
he offers them. He's like he's still friends with them, but he just won't risk anything.
Yes, he cannot. He would not risk his daughter.
It's nice to see Captain America and Tony being friends again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Steve and
it is good to see that again.
Uh-huh.
But especially after that opening scene when
Yeah, he kind of lashed
they're
out
like
at him.
fighting.
when he
He
lashes
goes,
out.
I
at
wanted
him.
to protect us, and you weren't there.
Yes, and that
That's
is.
Even though he was
that
there,
was like
he
kinda-
showed up,
Whew.
and he's the one that saved Vision from losing the stone.
It is definitely. I think
Tony
it is
needs to
definitely
calm
on.
down.
No,
Yeah.
I think Tony definitely is coming from. I understand where he's
We
coming
understand
from.
where both
Yeah,
people are
but,
coming
like-
from. I understand where both are coming from.
Yeah.
They're both reasonable things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
I
so
mean, yeah, because
You're an
I mean,
Iron Man fan.
I've always I was Team Iron Man during Civil War.
yeah, me too.
because I didn't.
No, I was Team Captain America.
I was
What are
Team
you
Captain
talking
America.
Because
all
I
the way.
was,
morality. Man.
especially with the benefit of hindsight, having the team united,
What if the
having the team united, say if the whole
Alright.
team
we
was
won't get
on,
into it.
say if the whole team was on Titan,
Yeah, but the government
They
would
win.
would
That wouldn't
would
have
the
changed
government
anything.
would the government let their best team go to a foreign planet they don't even know exists?
all of them? Why would you send all of them anyway? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, but would the government let that happen?
It's better to protect
The government. What if the government said no, you can't go?
And if they wouldn't have been with Vision, Vision would have died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Vision would have been with the team. That's what I'm saying.
Vision would have died.
But-
He
Yeah,
was
there's a
off
whole
on his
entire
own.
circumstances. We can argue about that. All
Yeah,
day,
we can
but,
argue
like,
about that all day. We're
We
not
could
going to argue about
actually.
it.
We
here.
might have to do a pod on that.
We
but,
could.
yeah. So Scott Lang goes, well, we're gonna stop, and Captain America goes, no,
We're-
we're gonna get a bigger. And it's like we're gonna get a bigger brain.
we just need someone with a really big brain.
Who's that? Oh,
And it's like
now
bigger
we
than
see
his, and then
Professor Hawk.
we find Steve, and that's that's the second thing I
Slash
don't.
Bruce
That's the
Banner.
second thing I wasn't a fan of.
You didn't like that?
Professor.
No, I love Professor Hulk.
What?
That was I loved seeing
I
Professor
love
Hulk.
that.
However,
There's no
I'm
Hawk.
sad that he only explained how
Oh,
it
you
happened,
wanted
but
to
not.
see that?
I wanted to see
Okay.
him do it.
how Professor Hulk came about, not just
It
hearing
makes
it.
sense though. 18
Not
months
just
in the
hearing
gamma radiation lab, and he did it.
Yeah, I know,
Mm-hmm.
but still, like, I wanted to see.
There's just a lot unexplained with the Hulk. Like,
Yeah, it's
Hulk
5
never
years.
gets his own movie.
I
Hulk-
wanted
Well,
to
the Incredible
see it.
Hulk was a flop.
Well, yeah, but that's before Marvel became good.
Yes. that is
I know.
true.
I wanted to see.
That's before
wanted
they
to see
cracked
Professor
the
Hulk come
formula
out.
of dopamine releasing movies.
That was
Yeah.
before Kevin Feige was really running the show.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Feige really started. I mean, he was running the show, but he didn't have the kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, basically like he didn't have the kind of power he had.
Okay. Yeah. So then,
Later.
Professor Hulk, who was like, well, it's kind of out of my field, but I can try.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
That
a
was-
funny scene.
The
They
next
give a-
scene is hilarious.
Bruce is just he just seems so incompetent.
We
at
don't want to
times.
lose him in the 1950s.
Oh yes.
What? Haha, it's a joke.
Not
Could it work?
really.
I don't know if this is all a joke or not. And so
Either all a
either
joke
it's
or
an
none
all
of it's a joke.
or none of it.
we see Scott Lang
It's time.
become like 10 different ages. Oh no, not 10.
He
but,
went.
like-
He went back to like a teenager,
He's like,
and then
what's
a
going on,
baby,
guys?"
and then
Baby,
a
No,
an
no, no, no,
elderly,
no. It was normal, teen, old, baby.
I think, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
grown up. And then
I
he was
like,
back to
it
normal.
was
Then
like
he was
I
back
love.
to normal.
That's what I liked about the comedy.
Or maybe
it was quick witted.
me.
It was really quick witted. It was like he's a baby, and then like Hawk was like he'll grow.
He'll grow.
And so he had the idea to shut the power off, and I don't know how that will help, but it did.
Somehow worked.
Yeah, and so
it's Bruce Banner. You shouldn't
Yeah.
be questioning it.
Captain America walks outside with a long face, not knowing if this will work.
And then all of a sudden you see.
Yeah,
Just
we-
a-
Oh, wait, we skipped the scene inside of it. We skipped the scene inside of Tony's house
oh yeah.
where he.
Oh,
runs
we
his
Discovered
did,
celebration.
yeah.
And,
Oh.
and I love you 3000.
Oh.
Oh.
That was
Oh.
that
He's,
was that would eventually become.
He
extremely
runs, yeah.
heartbreaking.
He runs a couple like simulations.
He
on
runs a
his-
simulation of
works.
how the time travel would work. Has the eureka moment.
shit.
Well, shit.
And his
then-
daughter's right there.
His daughter says it again. He's like, "Nope, don't say that."
And so he
That's
puts
mom's
her to
word.
bed, and she says, "I love you 3000."
Yes,
Oh.
and that.
Oh yeah, because
And-
he took up the.
and-
At first, I'm like, is Pepper gonna be in the rest of this movie? Because she was oddly
It was-
absent from all those scenes with the Avengers. Like when the Avengers came and saw, you just saw Tony and the daughter, and then when he
Yeah, but then
shoots
she
at the back-
immediately shows up after that.
then she
Yeah.
just shows up randomly. And
Well,
I'm
she
like,
was on the couch. She
yeah,
came
but like,
down. She was
when if
reading.
she just heard her daughter say shit? You know what I mean?
It was they were probably on the other side of the house.
I was like,
Tony Stark is
at
a
first-
billionaire. He has a huge
I
house.
think we're getting hung up on the wrong thing.
I know, but I
You're
was just,
getting caught
at first I thought Pepper was just. I'm like, oh, they must have had a fallout with the
Yeah.
person or something because I thought she wasn't gonna be in the movie at all.
No.
So he
But
puts
then,
her in
like,
bed. And
Were
he-
you
and-
following the news cycle for Endgame at all?
Not really. I didn't want to see any spoilers.
So yeah, so we see this like emotional scene between Tony and Pepper, and he goes, I can stop. I can put a pin in it. And she goes,
Getting you to stop has been one of the few failures of my entire life.
and that to me was the biggest foreshadow.
And
I
that was
saw.
the best thing ever. That was one of the best lines I've heard. And then it would come back.
But it's just the whole entire scene that he doesn't want to. He'll know there's risk. He'll know he all knows all that.
He's
and
risking his second chance. But
It's all
he can't stop.
foreshadowing for the end of the movie.
yeah, but he can't stop, so he goes on with it.
Yeah.
And then he shows up after
Explains what happens.
So I'm guessing he turned into a baby, among other things. But
He goes.
What was the time loop thing called? What did they call it? It was like an inverted something.
an
Loop.
inverted Mobius loop.
Mobius loop.
Did you look that up after the movie?
No,
I
he
just
already
knew
knows
I just
it
knew
is.
what a
No, you
Mobius
didn't.
loop is. I know what a Mobius loop is.
Okay.
Klein bottles.
They've been talking about it all the time.
Klein bottles.
All right. We know you take stats and you take all that.
No, they just him and those guys just know everything.
Felix
Look-
Klein.
How do you spell Mobius?
Put a picture. I want right now, Spencer. I want a
We're
picture.
not gonna
I want a
fucking
picture
picture.
of a Klein bottle on screen. But we're continuing.
Okay.
So we need visual aids throughout the
He has
video,
the-
and then he already has the thing already made because
GPS for time
because
travel.
he's Tony Stark. Of course he does.
Oh, we missed. The best part is when Ant-Man says it's a time heist. I was like, yes. And so we know it's a time heist. And so they explain it to everyone. They know everyone's had an encounter with one of the stones, so they start working the plan. Who's gonna go win?
I like how okay, first off, Ant-Man's humor throughout the movie is the best thing ever.
I
Because
like
he's
that.
literally like all of us have had an encounter with the stones. We're encountered with damn near killed by one of the six
and
Infinity
then
Stones.
Scott's like,
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't even know what those
so
are.
yeah, so they
I love
they devise this
Alright.
plan to get all the stones, and they know that there would be 3 stones in New York, one on Volmir.
My favorite. Let's go slightly before that. My favorite line from all, or my 2 favorite lines from that whole part, or really my favorite part of that scene, is when they basically just exhausted. They're laying on the table, and then you have them talking about like, okay, so talk to me about the Stephen Strange guy. So he lived in Greenwich Park. Wait, he lived in New York? No, he lived in Toronto. Are you listening? And then finally it's like, well, if you pick the right year, there's 3 Infinity Stones in New York.
But they
and
don't
also
really,
they stop.
They don't know that he's not.
They look at each other like,
They don't know that
Shut the
Doctor
front
Strange
door.
is
Wait, wasn't Thor there by then when they're doing that?
they're doing, Thor's there. But like,
We have to talk about Thor.
we skipped that part. That scene, I don't really like that much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Fortnite.
yes,
No,
Fortnite
we're not there yet.
Yes,
No, we
he
already
said-
did.
He just skipped.
Oh
We
yeah,
blew
we did.
past-
We
we
blew
blew
past
past
that.
that
But
scene.
no, we see. We probably shouldn't have skipped that. We see
Like
Thor really
Thor's
letting
gut.
go.
Thor's
Thor's
gut.
like, what do they call it? It's like you look like you're.
You look like melted
you look
ice
like you're
cream.
melting ice cream. Yeah.
And that was I was laughing.
I
throughout that
thought
scene.
that scene was funny.
Meek, is it because it's what's his accent? Is it
Corgan
Meek?
Meek.
But is it Meek or Mike? Because it sounds like
Meek.
Meek. But no, but he says like in an accent it might be Mike.
It's
Might be.
MEEK.
Okay, never
Meek.
mind.
Look,
Meek. Okay, all right, I believe you.
Hey,
but
Thor,
yeah, so
somebody's
Corgan
bullying me on the game again.
it's
yeah, it's so
it's
funny. I love
MEEK.
them
MEEK.
from
Meek.
Ragnarok. It's so funny. But yeah, so they pick up Thor. They bring him some beer. So yeah, so they devise this whole entire plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thor's a
They have
junkie
to-
now.
So Thor and Rocket are going to Asgard.
To get the reality
Okay,
stone.
yeah, so
Yes.
they came up with
Out
this.
of-
No, they're
let's
getting.
out of
explain
Padme.
the plan more. We gotta skip
What?
over the plan. So overall,
So now the
they,
plan.
they figured out that there were 3 stones at New York.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying where
Shut
the
the
stones
front door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was
then
just.
they're
That was,
Yeah.
that was my favorite part of that.
Yeah, so they're gonna so the space stone. Wait, no, the reality stone is in Thor.
Yes, it's in Asgard inside of
Padme.
It's
Padme, the girl that plays Padme, whatever her name is, it
Natalie
doesn't matter.
Portman.
Natalie
her
Portman.
real- yeah. Yeah. Wow, I'm really blanking on that one.
And
so
then
yeah.
and does
Okay,
it say-
I have it right here.
then we have
So
Iron
then,
Man, Cap, Ant-Man, and Professor Hulk
for
going
the
to
time stone.
Jane Foster going to New York to get the 3 that were in New York.
So they're getting the time stone,
the
the space stone,
and the Mind Stone. And then you have the second team, which
I didn't like how the Mind Stone was in the scepter, but it was blue. Why couldn't it just be yellow?
Yeah, I was so confused. Like when that was a stone, it was like blue.
I knew it was a stone. I just didn't know why it wasn't yellow.
Yeah,
they never explained.
Because they didn't. I don't know if that was 100% a part of the plan yet. That's 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
Cut them some slack.
Yeah, because it was the same color as the space stone.
But Loki was literally wielding 2 Infinity Stones.
He had 2 Infinity Stones in his hand.
Yeah, and it didn't even matter back
then. He could have
easily.
Thanos could have easily called him back with the Tesseract and with the space and with the Mind Stone,
taken him from him.
Boom! 2 stones immediately.
Yeah. So we see the Mind Stone, Space Stone, and Time Stone.
Thanos probably didn't know. Thanos probably didn't know that he
had the Tesseract.
Had gotten the Tesseract that quickly.
Yes.
And had the Mind Stone and his literal scepter.
Yes.
Because he did have
because like,
Thanos had 1 Infinity Stone, which was the Mind Stone. He had that all along, and I think that might have been what he was referring to.
Was what was in Vision.
Yes,
that was in the scepter.
Yeah, but they
but the Power Stone is what he had at the beginning of Infinity War.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
The Power Stone's in the orb, and they find that
back in 2012. In 2012, Thanos already had an Infinity Stone.
And how did he lose it?
Because he gave it to Loki.
Yes.
Oh, okay. He had the Mind Stone in 2012.
Gotcha. Okay.
He gave it to Loki.
And I think that's what he meant.
He used 1 to get another, and it didn't work.
He gambled 1 to get 2, and he lost the gamble. I think that's what he meant by saying that when he was on Vormir with Gamora. I think that's what he meant when he said, I put aside my destiny or something like that.
And so we see the Power Stone orb, and we see Peter Quill getting that on I forget the planet he originally was on when he was kicking Morag, and then we see the Soul Stone as we did in Infinity Store on Volmir with Red Skull, and so they all dispatch. So I think Thor gets his rather easily in Dark World. He also brings back Mjolnir. Why did I say? Now I'm saying.
And that was
because the plan was they were gonna all split up and they were all gonna go get in the Infinity Stones before Thanos could.
That was a really cool scene. That was a really cool scene where he was talking to.
They all had one trap back because they all had the pin.
Pin particles.
The pin particles.
That they only had 1 round trip. Right, so they had to get those and get back.
Yeah, so we see Thor and Rocket get theirs, and they get it rather easily compared to other people. The Soul Stone, on the other hand, we'll just try to go through the stones and each one. Soul Stone, we see Hawkeye
and Black Widow go to get that.
Yes, and we see Red Skull kind of telling what needs to be done, and we see the first kind of emotional battle.
And then they start wrestling basically.
Yes.
To see who would sacrifice himself.
It's almost like when your parents fight over who's going to pay for it.
Because I could tell in 2012 that those two loved each other.
They always were like.
It's
really
more
good
like
friends.
but it's like
they've been with each other since Budapest.
It's not like a romantic.
Budapest
it's more like a familial love than like a romantic love.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's what it really is. Because
she almost loved Bruce Banner, but that didn't work out.
She almost loved like a lot of guys.
She was in love with Bruce Banner.
Yes, she used that to get people on the team too.
Yes.
Okay.
But so they wrestle. Black Widow ends up winning, and that's the first death that we see in this movie.
Why did she fall in love with Bruce Banner? I mean, look at that guy. He's such a wimp.
Because he's smart.
So that was like the first but it's like, hey, they still have time to get stones, and then we see the orb on oh my gosh, of the Power Stone on with Morag. I keep forgetting that name.
And you have War Machine and Nebula there.
Yes.
And then it's like, and then they see Peter Quill dancing. It's like,
and it's
so
really
he's
funny.
An idiot.
It's like we see in the beginning of Guardians him like dancing and the music, but then we just see him singing.
We get to see it outside with no music, and it's just like, so he's an idiot.
Yeah, it was really funny.
You just see him singing. It's like when you're listening to music and you
he's
get the feel,
an idiot.
and then you don't think about how like other people are just there like watching. You're like. They can't hear the music and like you're just singing,
but you sound really good.
That's such a
good
song.
Yes, it is. And he just gets knocked out.
Yeah,
by
War Machine.
Yeah, and we see them.
No singing, copyright strike. We can't afford to be copyright strike. We have like 7 subs
right now.
We have like 7 subs.
And we see them get the orb, but this kind of leads into the big moving force of the whole entire
And
movie.
then
Nebula,
because there's 2 nebulas.
in the same same galaxy, not same galaxy, but same solar system, and like their mind, and she has like we see her memory played out before,
Yeah.
but her memory is like it intertwines with her other memory, which is also right now full-fledged Thanos fan,
Yeah.
and we see Thanos realize what's happening, and realize he sees the tape of him getting his head cut off and goes, "That's destiny fulfilled," and he knows that
that he will die. But
he wins, and then they come back for it.
yeah.
And so he knows what he needs to do. So he sends Nebula not to fail him again.
Yes.
And so yeah, and then we go to New York, and this is the big part. This is like the main big part. Hawk goes to get the time stone.
With a Hulk.
Hawk goes to get the time stone. Cap goes to get the Mind Stone, and Ant-Man and Iron Man get the realities and the Space Stone.
Yeah.
And so they 3 split off. And first, I think we see him put the scepter in the elevator, and Captain gets that first. And I thought that was really
Oh, I
funny.
love that scene.
That scene was so cool because it paid off. It paid off something in the comics that I can't explain easily here.
But it was cool because he got in the elevator with a couple guys that he fought in. Was it Civil War?
Yeah,
Winter
it's
Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
I was really
I thought it was gonna be the same scene.
I'm like, they threw him up all against the elevators, but he's like, "Oh, just give me the scepter; it'll be okay." And they're like, "No, I'll contact the director first." And he's like, "No, just trust me." He's just like,
yes, and I thought that was so funny.
That was so cool.
I thought there was going to be another.
That was
fight scene,
hilarious.
but it wasn't. And he gets the Mind Stone, but it's in the scepter. No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's in the scepter, and then
scepter.
Yeah, and then you see Tony kind of drops the ball, but it's not.
Well, he gets.
I think anyone would have dropped that thing
Yes.
if you get hit in the face with an angry Hulk.
Yeah, so
it's
Ant-Man
like,
gives him a cardiac.
we're gonna go, and then boom.
Ant-Man gives him a cardiac arrest. His old self. He gets the case. He's walking. And
how would he not know? He could have died from his own cardiac arrest.
Oh,
he knew he wasn't gonna die.
Yeah, and so the case goes flying. It literally ends up. The Space Stone ends up right in front of Loki. Loki goes.
And that's actually, I think, how they're going to take that new Loki TV show. I think that's how they're gonna do it. I thought it was gonna be
how's that gonna work? Like,
I thought it was gonna be set in the past, but I guess now it's gonna be this new Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how is he gonna get re-imprisoned for the next Thor 2 movie?
It's creating branching timelines. It's not
so
the same.
confusing.
It's not.
I know what you're saying. It's confusing.
It's not Back to the Future. Actually, now is probably a really good time to explain.
But the thing that happened in Back to the Future, he fixed everything before he left.
Because Back to the Future doesn't use correct time travel. Can we just talk about that right now? Can we just talk about how
really
time
fast?
travel works? Can I just explain?
They explained it in the movie.
I know, but I don't know if you. I don't know.
No, I understand how you get separate. Well, there's one that was this way, and there's one that's actually this way.
When you are so right now, your present is your present, and your past is your past.
Yes, and they went into the
and your
past.
future is your future. So, when you travel into the past, what was your present is now your past, and the past cannot be changed by your actions in the present, which is now the past. So,
well, it's your past.
Yeah, your past is becoming your present, and your present and your former present is now your past.
Okay.
And you can't change the past by doing something now. Like, I can't slam that computer shut and have that affect your computer shutting 5 minutes ago.
Right, but if I were to go back into the past and prevent you from doing
that would then create a second branching timeline.
Okay.
Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the president.
Josh, we're not talking about Kung Fu Panda. Yes. That's why I was really confused on what you were typing in there.
I love that.
I love that
you
guys
what's the name of the turtle that says that?
Master Oogway.
Master Oogway.
Okay, a little off
anyway,
topic.
Back to the thing. So then you see Captain America strolling up to Iron Man and Ant-Man sitting in a car. Just
Whoa. We forgot the "Who are you?" scene.
Who are you?
Captain America.
Yes!
Fights
I
America's
love that
ass.
scene so much.
You've got to be shitting me.
And,
oh yeah, we forgot Tony Stark calling, "That's America's ass."
Yes.
I know, it's like, yeah, Captain Cap. That
It wasn't
suit.
Tony.
And Tony said
it. Yeah.
that suit did nothing for your ass.
Yeah,
And
and
Ant-Man,
was like,
he's like,
"That's
I think your ass looks great. That's America's ass.
And so we see like a two Spider-Mans pointing at each other scene,
Where it's like, well, you've got to shoot me.
Huh?
I got eyes on Loki. I'm not Loki. I
Wait,
don't want to hurt you.
that was
the most
almost,
satisfying.
He has a chokehold.
Yeah.
That was the most satisfying. That was one of the most satisfying fights in the MCU.
Yes.
Because it's just like, and then
No, can I say the next line?
yes,
Okay, and then the next line where it's like, okay, sorry, and then they're fighting, and then what's it? The old Captain America, or the one from the past.
current Cap
gets like
thrown
down.
gets thrown into a chokehold
Because he
by
reaches for the
Old
scepter.
Cap.
and then the old Cap says, "I can do this all day."
Yeah.
And then
I know. That was a little bit before the
present
chokehold.
Cap is like, "I know."
That was a little bit before
that was
the
before
chokehold.
the chokehold. I wanted to say that line. That's my favorite
And then the
line.
chokehold, and then finally
And
to
then-
get old Cap off of him, present Cap tells him
whispers in his ear.
Bucky's alive.
Yeah, and we see
was like,
that
what?
playing a major role.
And now he's
Yeah.
like, wait,
How's
uses-
it? How's it?
huh? And then finally,
He uses the
he uses
scepter.
that to hit him in the face, grab the scepter, and then basically use it to knock
Knock
him
him
out.
out.
So he gets
So
the
And as he
scepter.
gets up,
I'm assuming that
that is
America.
America's ass.
I'm assuming that current or the past Captain America is going to assume that he was just daydreaming or something.
Oh, no, he's gonna think he fought
Maybe.
Loki.
Or is he gonna think he fought Loki and Loki was lying to him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Until at least that universe's version of Winter Soldier happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's gonna realize, holy crap, was that a future version of me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so yeah.
So they have two stones.
Now they have two stones.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about Hulk.
and they lost.
How did Loki escape exactly? He didn't have.
He just used the power, space
He's got a
stone
bent
to-
over,
so
picked
when
it
he
up,
picked it up,
and he
Got
can use
it.
its power.
Okay.
But Hawk has to talk to the Sorcerer Supreme, and he finally convinces by saying, "Why
Because-
did Doctor Strange?"
because
give him
Doctor
the stone?"
Strange. Because I actually-
14 million realities.
I actually did see online that some people were questioning how she even knew.
Because she can look into the future. Remember, she looked. I mean,
Because
Doctor
she
Strange.
used-
She said, "I've
Yeah.
seen the future until this very moment when she got injured."
Yeah, and
halfway
she
through Doctor
knew,
Strange.
and she also knew that Strange
Is the best of
was
us.
going to be the best,
Mhm.
was going to be the greatest sorcerer of all time.
Yeah, because she said in the Doctor Strange movie, I can see in the future until the very time when she kind of dies, and then that's when Strange
Yeah.
takes over the responsibility for the time stone.
Okay.
But yeah, so he Holt says that he gets the time stone. Them two are so they realize they can't get the space stone. So
And that's gonna be the last time, and that's the last time we see him for a while until all the other stuff happens. So yeah, and then finally, as they're talking about it, because
they messed up.
Ant-Man is now freaking out because we can't get everyone back because we dropped the ball, we lost the stone,
With one shot.
we had one shot, and then Tony has an epiphany. Wait a minute, there is a time.
Pin particle.
There is a time where there were both Pym particles and the Tesseract in the same place at the same time. We can go, not only get the Space Stone, but also get more Pym particles
to get back.
in one go.
I thought that's when someone was going to be sacrificed, that he would have to stay, but I was wrong. Which I would.
So they go, and then I like the interaction between Tony and his dad because Tony never had any interactions, any true interactions with his father growing up.
And that was like kind of sentimental. Like he
That was
finally
kind of
fulfilled
like
it. He finally
He
had
finally
that.
got to like.
But then the
meet his
dad was like he's supposed to be like he wanted to be invested in Tony's life, right?
He did. He really did.
But Tony kind of shut him out, and he kind of shut Tony
Well,
out.
he didn't know how he didn't. Howard didn't really know how to be a dad,
He was more of like a
was
and
it-
also
builder.
yeah, he didn't know how to be a dad as so. But I mean, like whatever, it's not a big deal. That was a really emotional scene. That was really cool. That they,
And we also see Captain have an emotional scene.
and Cap
he
got to
gets-
have that
after
emotional scene. Seeing
He gets the
Peggy.
Pym particles, and he sees Peggy,
yeah.
and he wants to go and see her,
But he
doesn't.
knows there's work still left to be done.
Yes, and so they get out.
So
They
they
get back.
out, they get back, and
They have
now
all, they have,
now they have all the
six.
stones. But you see, then they have time to mourn over Nat
Yes,
dying.
yeah. They finally say like,
And then finally,
Thor says we have the stones. Let's get her back. And
They can't. It's
and Hawkeye says she's not coming back.
and then they assemble the gauntlet.
Okay, and
Thor
when I
wants-
first saw this scene, we're kind of skipping over what happened with Nebula.
We kind of covered.
We kind of covered it. We didn't.
She was with Thanos.
She got kidnapped by Thanos,
And her sister took her place.
But
And
I
her
thought it
sister-
was interesting
yeah,
how
and her
they were
sister
on the
took her
same
place.
network and they could see each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
didn't-
saw the two lines.
Mhm.
Like they were interact.
Yeah, it took me. At first I was thinking, why would that be an open network to where you could have two of them on the same thing? And then I kind of thought about it. I'm thinking, well, Thanos might want to be able to like hijack her brain.
Yeah, but why would Nebula,
leave
when
it-
she's running around on her own in the future, why would Thanos not be able to activate?
Because that's not in
Or
the same
access
present.
it.
The present like control like. it
I
can
know,
only
but I'm
interleave-
talking about
Because
like,
he was only
Because if you took part of her brain and put it somewhere else, it would still be interact with the rest of her body. So basically, that's what happened. There's two of them now.
But I was just confused. Like when they call it the network, I would have thought Thanos would have developed that network, so that
I don't
that
know.
would
It
mean
was
that
kind of
He
weird.
would be in control of it, so
Mhm.
that when, like, let's say in like Infinity War, when it was still before the snap, couldn't he have seen where Nebula was at in Infinity War?
He would have
But it's
needed.
not the
He would have
present.
needed to
Oh, but
upload
he-
into her brain.
And he didn't know that she escaped because he would have had that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he needed to be.
Wait, no, after
he
where
needed
was Nebula
he
in
needed
the-
that direct link into his brain, into her
So
brain.
Guardians 2, she
Okay.
was captured by the Guardians, and then she became
Yes.
their friends.
Yes, kind of her friend.
Was she?
And then
in-
she got captured by Thanos at some point because she left to go kill.
Because she
Thanos.
left to go try to kill Thanos,
Yes.
and that obviously didn't work.
Mhm.
And then we saw
and she got
her.
captured.
Yes.
Yeah, we're approaching a true hour of power here.
Okay,
We're,
we're,
like,
we're,
halfway.
we're almost there. We're almost
That's
there.
all right.
And
we
we're
can go
only, like,
over
two
for
thirds
hours.
of the way.
We're 2/3.
I'm just saying, hour of power.
Yeah, so
let's
we
go.
see they make Stark make the gauntlet, and we see it looks almost like a normal glove, but then it opens up and it opens up on its own,
to,
and they're able to
match the hand of whoever's wielding it.
yes, and the Infinity Stones go in, and Thor really wants to do it. Thor throws himself out
Yeah,
there.
Thor wants to do everything.
He
Thor
goes-
wanted to do
remember how he goes strongest Avenger, but we see that same line used in
Thor
Ragnarok.
but also I think Thor wanted to do it because he was
Sad.
sad and he had just seen his mom, and he really just wanted to see he really just wanted to.
Yes, but it's funny because like in Ragnarok, he's like, "I'm the strongest Avenger," and then Bruce comes in and was like, Bruce Banner like opened up, and like, "Welcome, strongest Avenger."
Yeah.
And I
And
thought,
so-
yeah.
So yeah, and then finally they are able to Banner puts it on, and you just see it like
Ugh.
Just
burning
tearing his
burning
arm.
that skin, burning the that like the fabric that was on his arm.
Yeah, and it burned his dick.
And then
Because
finally
his
it
arm was
snaps.
definitely under it.
Oh,
Like,
his hand, like you looked at his hand later on, and this hand was like his fingers were like burnt
Small,
to a crisp
yeah.
and small,
mhm.
and guys,
And he
hand up
snapped,
there.
and it worked because we see birds chirping, which was kind of like fun. Like, it was like
You
it was
didn't
like-
see any of that in before.
Yeah, it was
That
almost like happiness. It was like springtime almost.
And then all of a sudden,
And you see the
boom!
Oh, whoa, whoa! It's like, and we see Burns'
Oh, yeah,
wife
well, you
get a
see
phone call.
the ship come in.
Yeah,
You see
we-
Thanos'
We get to see the
come in.
ship come in,
Other
and it busts
Nebula,
a hole.
other
in
Nebulas,
part of
when they're
the-
doing it, she like plugs her fingers in,
Yeah.
and the ship.
It
goes
busts a
up-
hole
and
in
it says
part of the
opening
ceiling.
gateway.
But
It says
because of
opening gateway.
like the barn door protocol that Tony put up,
Mhm.
it
They
they
couldn't hear
did
it.
they didn't know what happened
outside.
with
Yeah.
the ship. So then they go look out at so then Lang goes out, looks at the birds, and then all of a sudden, kaboom!
Yes, and that place is
And the whole place is
completely
leveled.
destroyed. And Thanos comes down, sticks his sword in the ground, puts his helmet on, tells
Nebula to go fetch him.
past Nebula to go get his thing, and she goes, "What are you gonna do?"
And then we got.
he
to,
says, "I'm gonna wait."
I didn't understand that. I didn't like this, but it made sense once I really started thinking about it. Wow, that's unprofessional. Was
Better out than in.
when you have Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor dual wielding Mjolnir and Stormbreaker,
Mhm.
how they weren't able to beat Thanos when he didn't have a single Infinity Stone.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I
okay,
thought that
okay.
was weird.
But think about
I
it
just
this way.
thought, yeah.
Considering that
Well, okay,
But considering that Thor, with just Stormbreaker, was able to nearly kill Thanos when Thanos had all 6 Infinity Stones.
well, but he also he was also just fought like a bunch of people and like remember like he literally like
He was battle hard.
and
was
he
a lot
just
more-
Thor literally came out of the Bifrost like straight out of the Bifrost and was flying at him.
Yeah.
And Thor
No,
was
that
not
wasn't straight out
over-
of the Bifrost.
What?
That wasn't straight out of the Bifrost.
Was it?
The Bifrost was early. He was going
Oh,
around
yeah,
destroying
yeah.
the ships,
Yeah.
and then he basically saw him, and yeah.
Yeah, but Thanos is ready for this, and I think Thanos with that double-bladed sword was insane. And I thought that was so really cool. He's at his peak. He knows what's coming, and he's ready for it. I don't think he saw Thor coming this time.
Yeah, but I still did.
I love when Cap.
And then finally,
wait,
we are not there yet, but everyone already knows.
No, he said Thor.
Thor was dual wielding.
Yes, so
Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor get ready, and
they're fighting, and then eventually
we see his beard get braided. We see he gets some armor on over that fat, and they're ready to fight him. And while
you could tell he was fat during the whole fight. His neck was just huge.
Yeah, and we see War Machine. Rocket and Ant-Man underneath the Rebels still, and we see
with Hulk holding it up so they don't die.
Bertman finds the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's running from the Bloodhound.
Well,
Jakari.
he found it. He found it, and then he hears something, and he looks back. He can't see it.
And there's all those
shoots
shoots
like the lighting up arrow.
I don't know what they're called, but
they're the Chitaris, right? It's the Bloodhounds. They're the Bloodhounds. That's what they're called.
They're not Chitauri though.
I think they are.
Are they Chitauri?
They're not.
I know they're called Bloodhounds.
Thanos.
They just look like rat ghouls from Star Wars, the Old Republic. If you guys know what that is, have you ever seen what a rat ghoul is?
Yeah,
they're like the white
annoying. They're in the Infinity War, final battle.
But they're really cool.
So yeah, he's getting chased.
They basically look like that. They're big monsters with the teeth. And
they're chasing him.
They're called the Outriders. They're called the Outriders.
Okay. Yeah.
He sees the Outriders hiding in there, and then all of a sudden he's like,
"Poop."
He realizes, well then, I should start running.
Yeah. So he runs. We see like Rocket underneath a bunch of Rebel.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's running to help them. And then we see Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America fight Thanos, and it's really cool. They're throwing stuff at each other. Iron Man goes, "All right, power me up," and Thor, lightning. He like
back.
That was so cool.
That was.
And Iron Man jumps on the back of Thanos. Thor throws Mjolnir. Oh my gosh, Mjolnir, and it hits Iron Man right in the head.
Knocks him out because he grabbed Iron Man to use him as a shield. Basically.
And so then Thor is knocked out. Well, Thor is getting punched in the face by Thanos.
And then he's down, and then all of a sudden...
Cap had been holding on to the back of Thanos. And then Thanos just throws Cap off.
That was I think that's...
And all of a sudden all we see is...
No, but hold on, we're not quite there yet.
Yes, we are.
You see, then you have Thor trying to use Stormbreaker to attack him. He basically grabs Stormbreaker and just...
Yeah, he's pushing it into his chest.
Pushes it into his chest, and then you start seeing...
Mjolnir being lifted. You see it lift in the air, but
and then
you see
it,
else.
Boom! Hits him,
and it flies back. Captain America holding. I was literally.
That was honestly my favorite scene in probably the entire.
I thought I yelled, "He's worthy!"
Because honestly, when I saw that, I thought Cap was gonna die.
In the theater,
I was so.
In the theater I was in,
everyone
started cheering, and then he starts.
Woo! Yeah, and he just lays it out on
It's like
him.
he's never wielded it before. He just knows how to destroy people.
And he's laying it on Thanos, but then Thanos starts fighting back.
And then finally Thanos is no longer
ground pounded him with
Thanos isn't Thanos stops being shocked. He overcomes his shock and then starts
hits
fighting.
Out Mjolnir, and then Captain uses his shield.
And then he breaks the shield partially.
Yes, he keeps whacking on that shield.
I cannot wait until the high definition. Until the movie comes out in HD.
We see that scene
4K.
of Captain
standing. I saw someone say this on Reddit, and it was I'm doing that too. Someone's like, when Cap is just standing there with a broken shield against Thanos' entire army.
Yes, we see the entire army cinematic coming out.
And and because it's Cap, I can do this all day. He's willing.
I thought he was going to say it. I was waiting for him to say that.
He's willing to go for
He's willing to do it. And then all of a sudden you hear, "Hey, Cap, can you hear me? On your left." And then the first portal opens up. This was the first part that made me that started making me cry, because it was all of a sudden there's
that's Jakar.
You see all of the portals. You have
first we see T'Challa walk out with his sister and his
and then it was
I can't remember her name.
and then you see all the portals open up in every single Avenger we've ever seen. Everybody
in every movie shows up,
and then that made me just cry, just the totality of everything I've seen this entire time through all 11 years of this franchise.
Just coming out of the portals, we see Black Panther yelling "To combat," And that's kind of and that's kind of the war call to the. And we see that army. We see all the sorcerers come out. We see Doctor Strange. We see the Guardians. We see everyone that was fallen.
Do you want any more?
Yeah, and yes, we see all that, and it's just, and then it comes to the most.
And then that when they all I could think
Marvel comes in, destroys a bunch of stuff.
No, we're not there yet.
We're not there.
All I could think about.
We're not even there yet.
All I could think about in that fight though
was
like
we're not there yet.
No, I'm saying the fight when you have the entire army of the good guys against Thanos' entire army.
No, we're not there yet.
And then Avengers.
Wait. Yeah,
I'm so confused.
Assemble.
Oh, you've heard it. We hear.
I am not letting you say that.
We hear we hear Avengers. And we know it's the captain, and it's going down the line of everyone. And it's about 4 seconds of just goosebumps and just waiting. And then we see Captain say, "Assemble."
So
and
good.
I was just, yes. And then it's just
full-fledged
head-to-head. We see Ant-Man
It made me
punch
think of
an
Lord of the
alien
Rings.
ship, and it was awesome.
It made me think of Lord of the Rings.
Yes. It was such a good battle. And
Cap's line there.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was so good. We see it just keeps going back and forth, and I'm thinking we see almost kind of like a chicken race with the gauntlet with everyone throwing around.
Yeah.
Burton gives it to Black Panther. Black Panther gives
Bartman,
it to
not Bartman.
Bartman. I keep saying Burton, but Burton died in the first Avengers. Yeah, but so we see him give it to Black Panther. Black Panther gives it to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man gets whacked out of the air. Actually, they start laying down fire onto the ground, Thanos, but it kills most of his soldiers and the.
It kills a lot of his soldiers as well.
Yes, and they're getting and we see Spider-Man fall to the ground, and all of a sudden we see the gun stop, and they aim to the sky, and we see him shooting at the clouds.
What is he shooting at?
Something's
Something's coming through the atmosphere.
Exactly what was happening.
I knew it was coming. I was like, yeah. And all of a sudden we see a golden strike go through the ship and back through the ship, and we're like, well, there's Captain
Marvel. As soon as I saw the bright light, I knew it.
I did not like her.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what. Okay, I don't care, dude. That doesn't matter.
That's my review. I'm gonna say that.
I know, but it doesn't matter to the plot. All I could think about though was all I could think about was like, I was like, what would that be? And then I see the sky start glowing yellow. I'm like,
what? How'd you not know what it was gonna be?
Let's go. And I didn't know. I was
How'd
thinking,
you not? You didn't.
I was trying to think of all the other cosmic characters in the MCU, and
there's only one logical thing that comes out.
I don't know. I was stupid. I was being stupid. I just see it coming. I'm like, it's about time.
Yeah.
She goes flying in, destroying the ship. And you see Thanos just in like complete like
utter shock.
Just dejection.
And she lands next to Spider-Man, and he goes, "Hi, Peter Parker." And
Hey, Peter Parker, got something for me?
Yeah, and she grabs it, and we see all the female characters come together to fight. The one thing I didn't like is that Black Panther's bodyguard, Okia, I think it is, and she just kills a child of Thanos really easily, and I was just like, well, I mean, they could have had a little bit more of a fight, but that's beside the point. The female characters.
My favorite part about that was when all of a sudden you just see, what's her face, Captain Marvel, just
Brie Larson
fly through everyone and just destroy everything in her path,
destroying things. They know where the time machine is, like where we gotta get these stones back. And Ant-Man's like, I got it.
Yeah.
And you just instantly find the van.
Yes, and so the guy.
So you're not gonna like where it's parked.
And they're racing towards it. Thanos throws his sword right into it. Boom. And we see Captain Marvel go head to head with Thanos, and Thanos holds his ground very well for not having any Infinity Stone going up a person of that high caliber.
Yes.
And we see him try to headbutt her. It doesn't really work.
When was this? Or like, is that? Yeah, because when he had all the Infinity Stones, and he just boom, doesn't even flinch.
Yeah. And so he
finally grabs the Power Stone.
Yeah, he grabs the Power Stone. Boom, off her, and now he has it, and he's about to snap. And we see Iron Man make his last stand.
First you see Doctor Strange. He raises the one finger.
His one finger, 14 million.
This is the one shot, and Iron Man realizes what's happening, what he needs to do. So he jumps, grabs the gauntlet.
He's trying to pull it off.
Well, I don't think he was ever actually trying to pull it off.
He's
that was the last.
Yeah, but he's holding onto the thing.
Yeah, no, I think in his head he's like, I need to make it look like I'm trying to pull the gauntlet off, but in reality, I just need to get the stones off. To make so Thanos thinks he's trying to pull the gauntlet off. Just trying to punch him, and then finally knees him. He goes, "I am inevitable." Doink. What? Looks. They're all gone. And you were saying that you saw.
Yeah, I saw it the second time when I noticed.
No, but someone was saying that it didn't make sense why why his suit was just able to take the power, and it's like the nanotech is able to fit to whatever he needs it to fit.
Yes. Well, when my friend said that, I was like, "How did he get the things?" I'm like, "It's nanotech. It literally can."
Yeah, it can do whatever.
That's why
it can do anything and everything he needs it to do.
Make a blade.
Yeah,
it just turns into a blade, or the back the f off blaster he had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel if you shoot my guy, I'll shoot yours. Let's go.
So we see Iron Man with the Infinity Stones, and he's in total anguish. He's shaking.
When he has them in the.
He has them.
And I
he goes, "Well,
am Iron Man."
Click. And then
that made me that had me.
And then we see Thanos look around and just see his army.
His army just disappearing
into dust, the same way everyone else did.
Yes, and Thanos kind of almost feels what the Avengers feel like failure. Like he failed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he looks around and he sees everything. The last thing that vanishes himself, and he just falls. And we see Iron Man just collapse.
Burned worse than Thor, really.
Yes, and because he's not as strong as Hulk.
Oh,
and,
I meant Hulk. Yeah.
And we see kind of a reverse scene as we did in Infinity War with Peter Parker holding Iron Man.
Yeah, you see it this time. It's
the child holding the father.
Peter holding,
basically,
holding Tony instead of.
And Tony's almost just kind of like
he's already gone. He's at that point
leaving right now. He's walking and we see Pepper come up to him.
Pepper tells him he can rest.
Yeah, he can rest now, and she gives him a kiss.
It's the one time he's able. It's the one time she's able to get him to stop.
Yeah, and he rests finally.
And
very emotional.
She was really calm for him dying. She let Peter have his moment, and then she then went in and talked to him.
Yeah,
she was really calm during.
Peter's basically her son. Because Peter is Tony's surrogate son.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because isn't she the one that was really nice to him when he brought her home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
that was that. I was basically crying from that point on through the rest of the movie,
and
until the end of that funeral scene.
Then we go to the funeral scene, and we see all the important Avengers all lined up.
It wasn't all the important Avengers; it was everyone, or almost everyone.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was.
Even
everyone.
that kid from Iron Man 3,
and we see a person that we really didn't. I didn't notice an opening
I didn't realize who it was until I saw it again, and
we realized he's from Iron Man 3.
I forgot about it.
He was the kid when Tony had PTSD. Tony had PTSD and he was struck. He landed, and this kid's a builder, and this kid was bullied, and he loved building, and he helped Tony fix his suit, and it was really cool. The only good part of Iron Man 3, I would say, was that kid driving the whole entire movie.
Oh, and he was just a lot older.
Okay. Yes, he was.
He was, because not only is that movie, that movie's from 2013?
It's,
not only is that movie from 2013, so he'd be 6 years older in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 5-year jump. He's 11 years older.
Yes.
From what he was in.
I think it's
Iron Man 3.
I think it's the same actor.
I think it is the same actor.
But they can make it.
He's way older.
Yes.
But Tony had a profound impact on his life.
Yes.
Yeah, May 3rd, he was still 2013.
He was still gonna show up to his.
And we see a funny moment, kind of a nod to the first Iron Man. When Iron Man first came back, he goes, "I want a cheeseburger." Because when Happy's with his daughter, and he goes, "You hungry for it?" And she goes, "I want a cheeseburger." He goes, "Your dad loves cheeseburger."
Something that was also a callback to Iron Man 1 was
Tony still has a heart.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking
Tony Stark has a heart.
Nick Fury coming out of the shadows, just like that end credit scene at the end of the end of Iron Man 1, when it's complete darkness. Tony turns on the light. You think you're the only superhero.
Think again, but
you have just become a part of a.
And it's a really emotional scene, a really high build up, and we see the whole entire funeral, and so then we go to Hulk and Bucky and Sam, and they're sending Captain America to put all the Infinity Stones back. And I was like, well, as long as he needs only 10 seconds for us. So Captain America goes back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
He's like,
we
we're
come
coming
back
back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he's not there.
He's like, get him back. And Bucky looks over and he goes, Sam. And we see a older man sitting on a bench.
And it's
And they walk over and he goes, Sam, go first. Like, go.
Yeah.
And Sam comes up to him and goes, I live my life. And
Captain America chose to live his life with Peggy.
And so we see that
which was
that
like
life.
cool, but like I was really sad at that scene because like even though Captain America didn't technically die,
he's retired now.
He's not. There's not going to be a Captain America movie again.
And Sam goes, it's going to be weird living in a world without Captain America. He goes, about that.
Well,
it's not going to be. It's not going to be Captain America.
It's going to be so cool.
It's going to be Captain America.
It's going to follow the comic books. It's gonna be Captain America to me. It's gonna be Captain
America's
America's
ass. It's the title of Captain America.
And
it's not. It won't be America's ass, but it will. It'll still be Captain America.
And it's really emotional. And the next scene even more so. He finally got the dance.
He finally got that dance, and that also I mean, I was basically almost
ever since the first Avengers.
I was almost continuously crying from the moment that Tony got like the stones his gauntlet, because at that point I realized what was happening. Almost continuously to the end of the movie, I was crying.
And then we leave the movie off on that very emotional note. And if you stay to the very end credits, we hear the clinking of iron.
You can hear 3 clinks of a hammer on metal. It's 3 clinks.
It's 3. And
3 clinks of hammer on metal. Just like that scene in Iron Man. Iron Man 1 when he is building his first suit of armor.
That was so
that was the end credit scene that wasn't an end credits.
It was just during the credits they were playing that.
Yes. So you guys wanna anything else you wanna add in?
I thought about this like right at the start of the show. You know how Thor's like talking about his failure to his mother. And he's like talking about that. We'll make a quick Star Wars connection. Yes. The greatest teacher. Failure is.
I don't really know.
Don't get us started with Yoda grunts on
the Avengers. Learn
when
from
we play
failure.
Xbox together. It might be 30 minutes.
Talk like Yoda.
That's when I mute all of you and I just. That's when I mute all of you and I just go and mine and just
play Minecraft forever. We do.
Build our house. We must.
Speaking of Minecraft.
Okay, but so Spencer, any other thoughts?
Other than that. Not many actually. Except the kid that is at the end of the movie is named Ty Simpkins, and he's also featured in Jurassic World. He's the redhead from Jurassic World, like the new Jurassic.
I know you. I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, anything else? I don't
Liam,
have anything else
your thoughts?
You guys did a really good job explaining that movie. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna let them go. They're like, they're talking.
The first time I saw it, I was gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, ratings.
But
go out of 100.
Fine, I will give it a 90. The first time I watched it, 96 out of 100.
Okay.
But second time around, I'm giving it 99 out of 100.
Really, 99. That's a good. Spencer,
let me just explain why it went up.
Yes, it is.
Because I went up because after I was able to rewatch it, I was able to focus. I was able to hone in on really the
smaller details,
the Easter eggs hidden throughout the movie, and because of that, it just made it that much better of a movie for me. Okay. I was able to truly appreciate it more, and I was able to really look at the minute details. And this movie's a love letter to all the people that have been fans from the very beginning. It's a ton of fan service. It is a ton of fan service, but it is in the best possible way. I know. And we're back because technical difficulties. I was talking about
fan service.
And I think Spencer, one time we were talking about like having fan service in movies, and you said it like almost like takes away from it because like if Marvel movies are just a ton of fan service, it's not like.
Well, if it's complete fan service, it's not.
But that was really a lot of what this movie was, and I do think that
I would disagree with that.
I mean, the movie was way different than I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect
I
Thanos to
called-
die right at the beginning of the movie.
It was-
I didn't know that.
Right.
No one
the way,
knew that.
the way it was able to subvert your expectations, a lot like Infinity War, and very unlike The Last Jedi. Please, Rise of
Okay,
Skywalker.
we're not gonna.
Okay.
Please, Rise of Skywalker, be good. Anyway,
No, you're not gonna do that on our show, all right? You're gonna get out. We're not gonna listen to you if you're gonna trash Star Wars movies right here.
Give me another lightsaber. I'm going to cut this.
Rise
Yeah,
of
we're-
Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker
Okay, no.
has me excited. Anyway, Endgame. But yeah, I just thought it's for me 99 out of 100. It's my number one. It's my number one Marvel movie now.
Okay, mine.
Yes.
Finally. Okay, now, my rating. First time, I think why I didn't like it at first as I was watching is because I really didn't know how I felt about it. I didn't know where it was gonna go. Thanos was already dead, and I was like, okay, this is moving really slowly at some points. And usually I don't say that about movies because I like slow moving movies. But by the end of it, it all came together. So if I had to do it
Out of 100.
out of 100, I give it a 96 out of 100.
96. That's a really good score.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I absolutely in love with it.
Same.
I really loved it. I thought one of my friends said he did not like the flow of the movie, and then I thought back on that. I'm like, well, just think about how much content they had to put in, how well they did with the time travel. It's a really hard concept to work with, and how hard to like perfect. And I think they did
I thought
that.
it flowed pretty well.
Yeah,
for
so
everything that they
Considering
did.
what they had to do.
Yes, in the 3 hours, and I thought they did a great job of that. Also, the first time I saw it, I laughed at every single joke they put out there. I thought it was great humor. The second time, I knew the jokes were coming a little more.
Well,
So
right.
yeah, so I didn't. It wasn't as funny as the first time, but honestly, I was able to, like Liam said, search more for it. I gave Infinity War a 94, I do believe.
Okay.
I really liked that. I thought I did a really good job of like Liam said, subverting our expectations. I gave this one 97. I thought.
After seeing it the second time.
I just can't.
I gave it. I raised my score a little more. I think I gave it a 96 the first night, but I think 97 is a really good score for me. I think it was really pleasing. My favorite comic book, not what I think the best comic book movie, but my favorite is Into the Spider-Verse. I think that in my opinion is my favorite comic book
Still
movie.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, you should see it. I gave that 100 out of 100. I've never done that before, and I just thought this movie's so good.
I need to see
love
this
it.
if you're
It
doing
flowed so well.
perfect
There was
score.
never one moment.
Perfect score.
There was never one moment where I was like, "This is boring. I don't really want to be here." Well, I wasn't like that at all. During
Right.
this. But it's not because Infinity War is worse or anything. I just think I only give it that because it was so good. Like when I rate movies, I just think every movie is a 50, and they do bad, they go below. If they do good, they go up.
Yeah,
And I
that
think
makes sense.
it was definitely worth the 97, and
Yeah.
it's definitely worth to see. It's great. It's
If you
probably
don't
the greatest.
see this movie, I
It's
mean,
definitely
Well-
the greatest comic book movie this year.
Well,
yes.
I mean, why would they be here if they haven't seen the movie?
right. unless you
I
just
guess
wanna
if you-
sit
I guess
and
if you're
hear
sa-
the
if
Go
you're-
see it
entire
again.
plot.
If you're a sadist that somehow hasn't seen the movie and you're watching this, you better, after you're done watching this, or even just right
if
now,
you're like
close your computer, go see Endgame right now, because what it's amazing is they were able to stick the landing.
Yes,
They
were.
stuck the landing of 21 movies, really 22 if you include Endgame, 11 years, 10 different franchises. They stuck the landing.
It was the perfect end, and it's
it was
not
the-
yet the end of the phase though.
It was yeah, but they stuck.
Hey,
This is
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 96 too. So
yeah. You're with the critics. On
I'm
that
with
one.
the critics.
What does the audience give
wow, the audience gave
You have to
it.
go. You actually
I have to go into. Hey, you just clicked on the picture.
IMDb gave it
a
99, a 91 basically.
Audience gave it a 93,
it? Audience didn't like it as much as the critics.
but
well,
I
that's
think,
still that's still good though.
it's still really good.
It's
That's-
still insane.
Yes, for a comic book movie, and comic book movies have these stigmas to them that people kind of like don't like them. I know people like that, but I think this was a great movie.
I do too.
Yeah, this was it was everything I needed, but I didn't know I wanted.
Well, yeah.
There was
Yeah.
stuff I didn't know that I needed in that movie
Mm-hmm.
until I saw it, and I was like, yes.
I think it's a great way to end the saga.
Definitely. Now we just have to move into Phase 4. See where that takes us.
Yep.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
definitely being a more interesting time for Marvel movies.
Mhm.
Try and see what they work with what they have left.
Yes.
So-
It's not really what they have left, what they now have.
Yes, they've added a lot.
I mean,
They
they've added
now-
a lot, but
they
they've
now
lost Cap,
have-
they've
Age of
lost
Ultron
Iron
was kind of
Man,
the same way, where
And
they
they've
added a lot
lost-
more to use.
But now they have
and Scarlet Johansson.
they have mutants. They have
they have a whole entire
Fantastic Four.
galaxy. Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four. They have
They could put in Deadpool if they wanted to.
Kevin Feige now has
The ultimate.
he has
the gauntlet.
he has the Infinity Gauntlet of Marvel Comics. He has everything.
He can do anything he wants.
Yeah.
So I think this is where we're going to wrap it up.
Yes.
We are
we're
deep
running
into
low
an
on
hour
time
of
here.
power. We're
Almost
almost an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably an hour and 20 minutes with all the cuts.
Yes.
and things.
So
Yeah, probably
this is a great way to I think this is a great review that we did, and we like doing TV reviews, and I like how we getting more into movie reviews, and we'll just keep throwing content at you.
Yeah, and whatever you guys ask, put it in the comments. We'll review any movie really if you want. So,
In 2 weeks,
what?
Detective Pikachu.
Oh, actually,
yes.
that'd be a good one to do.
That's
Ryan Reynolds is
And,
one of my favorite actors.
I have a website, and I review movies and TV shows on that. And I right now I'm pretty much focused on Game of Thrones. You can read all my Game of Thrones articles on
Link
that.
down below.
Yes.
Yes.
And I will say one of my predictions on Game of Thrones did come true.
it did.
Yes.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that. So
About which episodes will have what, and I posted that like 2 weeks before.
that
the
was
season
actually
premiered.
really smart deduction how you
Yes.
figured that out. I won't spoil anything. Just literally read his article because it's actually
Read
really
it.
good.
Yeah, and I'll try to
It's
put
on
more.
Wix, I think.
Yes,
What's your
it's
name?
a complicated. It's Josh Payne 809, and we'll
Okay.
put the link in there.
Yeah.
But
it's on
I'll
the
try to
Wix
do
page,
more
so.
random movies that you might not see in theaters, in case you want to read the review.
Yeah.
And all right,
Yeah.
We need to wrap this up before the camera runs out of storage.
Yeah, so thank you guys again for joining us. If you haven't seen the movie, if you have seen the movie, and even if you haven't, and you just wanted to hear the
Go see
movie
it.
and the entire plot through, thank you for joining us. You should definitely catch it in person though.
Thanks to Liam
it's
for coming
definitely
in,
worth it, and
our expert.
We'd like to bring our Marvel expert who just likes to talk about the movies and have a good time. So
Yes.
thank you guys all again for watching us, and we'll see y'all next time.
See you later.
Yeah. See ya. Have a good one.
Bye.